Guess what? Welcome to another DJ Wilson STEM video. Again, I want to thank you for taking some time out and watching this video and sharing it as well. So this is another class video that will demonstrate how to actually construct the cube. Okay, so in a previous video I did show you how to draw the 3-inch cube in an engineering view. So as you see, we're using 1/8 inch material, so we had to account for that 1/8 inch material that we're drawing. Alright, so in order to build our cube the most effective way without causing so much stress in our lives is we're actually going to build 2 squares. So we're going to create 2 of these, okay? And then after those 2 squares dry, then what we're going to do is we're going to put all of that together. So we're going to take 1 square, put it on top, 1 square, leave it on the bottom, and then glue in the pieces that hold that 3-dimensional cube together. Okay? So let's get started. So what I'm going to need is, for your cube, you're actually going to need 36 inches worth of material. Now you might be saying, Mr. J. Will, why am I going to need 36 inches? Well, 3 times 4 for 1 square is 12 inches, and you need 2 squares. So that's 24 inches. And then you need the pieces that connect it all together. So those 4 pieces is about another 12. So 3 times 12 is 36. Okay? So that's why you're going to need 36 inches worth of material. Alright. So let's do this. I'm not going to cheat and use my timber cutter to cut those pieces. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to measure all the pieces out that I'm going to need, and then I will cut them. Alright, and always remember, measure twice, cut once. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and measure these parts out. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy ruler, and actually let me put the ruler on top. So that's nice. So I know each of my sides are going to be 3 inches, so I can just do some math here. So I need one at 3 inches. I'm going to make a tick mark. Again, this is where I'm going to cut my material. 6 plus 3 is what? No, it is not 24. 6 plus 3 is 9. So 9, and then 12. So that's 1 square right there. Now I'm going to slide this down, and I need 4 more for the second square. Okay? So I'm going to line up that last piece that I did. I'm going to line up that last piece at 0. And then I'm just going to start again. So there's 3. 6, 9, and 12. Now remember what we said, measure twice, cut once. Alright, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to double check my measurements just to make sure everything looks good. Okay. well. That looks good. Three, 6, 9, 12 looks good. All right. So I'm actually not going to cut the pieces that I need in between yet that are going to connect the two squares. I'm not going to cut that yet. Why? Because I don't need to. I need to make the two squares first, and then after I make the two squares, then what I'll do is and the squares dry, then I'll cut those pieces and start putting it all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my timber cutter, or those of you that do not have a timber cutter, you can use an X-Acto knife. Just make sure with the X-Acto knife be as precise as possible. Actually, even with the timber cutter, be as precise as possible. So I'm going to cut, and even though you can't really see me, I'm actually looking through the left side of my timber cutter so I can make sure that my blade is matched up perfectly on that line that I drew. I want it to be as precise as possible. If it's not perfect, it's not perfect, but we just want to do our very best. A few more. All right. So, in previous videos, obviously y'all know it's not going to be this easy to butt one angle up against another angle to make that 90-degree joint. Y'all know I'm not going to do that, right? Of course. Good, I'm glad you do. So to make that 90, we need to cut to 45 degrees. And you're going to need that all the way around. So let me show you how you would cut that. All right. So those of you using the using an X-Acto knife, okay, you would just use your protractor to try and draw a 45-degree angle line. Draw a 45-degree angle line on here, okay, and then you would use your X-Acto to cut that. Okay. All right. So my timber cutter has a 45-degree angle mark right here. I'm going to slide. And again, for those of you who know how to use a timber cutter, this is no rocket science or anything like that to y'all. All right. So there is my 45 degree. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick this up and then just flip it this way, because I want my angles to be cut towards each other. Okay, I want to cut my angles towards each other. So I'm going to repeat that. Okay, so there's one. Now, I'm not going to be mean and just record me cutting 8 different pieces of material at 45 degrees. I'm not going to do that. Or maybe I will, but no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to pause the video while I continue to work this out, and then I'll be back to show you how to begin to put it all together. So I finished cutting my 8 3-inch pieces and mitering all of the ends. You can see it better when it's on something dark, okay? So now what I'm going to do is, this is going to be one square and this is going to be another square. All right. So I got my green glue And I'm just going to dab my green glue dried out on me. So I'm going to grab some more, pour it on a separate sheet of paper, or just a little bit. You don't need a lot. I'm going to take these ends, and you just dab the ends just a little bit. You don't want a whole lot. Okay? Always remember, the more glue at the beginning, the longer it takes to dry. The least amount of glue, the short amount of time it takes to dry. So you put just line up everything, make sure that your connections are pretty good. Okay, there's one square. I'm going to repeat the same thing with this one. Just going to dab the other ends. Put these over here. Now, one thing I will say is if you have some wax paper, that works well to put this on, because the glue won't stick very good, or will stick very well to wax paper. Okay? Alright. So those are my two squares. Look pretty good, don't they? Okay? So those are my two squares. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stare at them until they dry. No, not really. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to let these dry overnight. Make sure that they're really good and dry, and then we're going to take that final piece, and then we're going to put them on top of each other. Okay? All right. Well, actually, we're going to cut the pieces to put in between them, and then we'll glue them all together, and then we'll have our cube. Okay? All right. Guess that's it. Wait for it. All right. So it has been a day since we have created the two squares. Ta-da! And you'll see that both of them are solid. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is, to finish off the cube, I have to build the pieces that go in between. So it will be actually a little cube. Okay? Now, this is part of the engineering concept and engineering thought process. So it will be easy to think, okay, I just need 4 more 3-inch pieces of balsa wood in order to connect these two together. However, that's not the case. The reason being is because these pieces, when we put them together, right? This is 1/8 of an inch width, that's 1/8 of an inch width, and that is also 1/8 of an inch width. So you have to subtract that from the 3 inches to get the actual total length of 3 inches. Because 3 inches minus these two, minus 2/8, is going to give me 2 6/8, not 3 inches, okay? Hope that made sense. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my handy dandy, not your notebook. This isn't Dorothy. This isn't Blue's Clues. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our trusty ruler, and we're going to measure 4, 2, and 6/8 pieces, okay? All right. So let's match that up to 0, and so there's 1 inch, 2 inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2 6/8. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move that down to 0. I'm going to repeat that process. So 2 6/8. So 1 inch, 2 inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And repeat. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was watching this TV show one time, and this little girl was telling this guy a joke. She said, "Bob and repeat, we're in a boat. Bob jumped out. Who's left in the boat?" And the guy said, "Repeat." And so she said again, "Bob and repeat, we're in a boat. Bob jumped out. Who's left in the boat?" Repeat. Bob and repeat are in a boat. Bob jumped out. So, all right. Anyway, so there's 1 inch, 2 inch, and this last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just thought that was funny to know. All right. So you know we're not done, because you know our theme. Measure twice, cut once, okay? All right, because one of the things to remember is that your cube requires 36 inches worth of material, okay? So that's more than half of the material that I give, well, about half the material I give you for this project. So you want to make sure that you do not go over. All right, so I'm just double checking all of my measurements. All right, it's pretty good. All right. So previously I showed you how to do things with the timber cutter. This one, if you don't have a timber cutter, obviously just use your X-Acto blade. I'm just gonna use my X-Acto blade here. Again, always be careful with these. I want to line it up perfectly on that line. Just push straight down. And always try and do your best to go straight across. Try not to be angled, but do your best to go straight across. All right. Obviously, with this, make sure that you put the cap back on or secure the X-Acto blade as soon as you are finished using it, okay? Don't wait around. All right. So, I have seen this done so many times. All right. So you have to do the way that works best for you when it comes down to problem solving. However, I will tell you the way that works best for me, the way that I've seen it done the most successfully in class, is what you're going to do is gently, you're going to take each piece, put a dab of glue on each end. So dab of glue on that side, dab of glue on that side. And then what you'll do is you'll just hold it together like this, and then slowly do that same thing, dab of glue on this side, dab of glue on this side, and then just put the pieces in. Okay? Now I will tell you, encourage you, the more glue that you use, the longer that you're going to have to hold this in place. So you can add more glue later once it kind of solidifies. But as for right now, you want to use just a small dab of glue. Okay? So I'm going to use my green glue and squeeze it open on a separate sheet of paper. Alright, so first piece, So again, I just used small dabs of that green glue, right? I'll put these over, put this one over here. Then I'm going to do the next one. Small dabs of green glue. Now, it is okay. You don't have to do this by yourself. You can get, a sibling or someone else to help you. Typically, if we were in class, I allow team members to assist each other. Because again, we're never in this alone. Last one. Dab. And dab. Alright, so now that I have everything kind of where I want it, I'm just going to gently rest my hands on the corners of the cube. You don't want to press too hard, because if you press too hard, you could break something or snap something, okay? And this isn't the strongest material in the world either, okay? But I do want to just encourage you to just take your time with this, okay? If there was something that you missed in the video, please make sure you rewind it back and watch it again, especially when it comes down to the measurements and the cutting of your material. Alright, please remember, measure twice, cut once, do your very best, have fun with the project. So actually, as of right now, well, nope, it's not ready just yet. But typically you'll hold your hands on the material probably about 5 minutes or so, and then it will solidify and dry. Alright. Alright, so as you see, I did some additional things. I actually put some tape around this. Now if you don't have masking tape, you don't have to do this. You can just continue to hold it. But I put some masking tape around it just to hold it in place. Now one of the things you want to do is, obviously, when you take the tape off, just be gentle. And now you have your cube. Okay. So when you submit your project, you are going to tape your cube down to the paper next to your design, next to your blueprint. Okay, don't tape it over it. Okay, tape it next to it. And that's that. Hope you saw it. Again, if there's any questions, please feel free to email me, and I'd be more than happy to respond. Alright, with that, have fun, hashtag go build something cool, and see you in the next video.